The next morning we were up early, completely refreshed, and prepared to go to the monastery to meet the high priest, who had preceded us only 2 days. As we left the city with our guard, it looked as if all of the inhabitants had turned out to do us honor. As we approached the monastery, the high priest came out to meet us, and, to our surprise, Emil and his mother were with him. It was a wonderful meeting. The priest seemed like a boy again, saying that he had wanted to see Emil or some one of our friends. He felt that he had failed in many things and wanted to talk to them in order to get a more complete understanding. He also gave us our first news of the little home that had been erected in the village where he had charge. We found him speaking English fluently and very anxious to learn. We went to the lamasery where all were made comfortable. Turning to Emil's mother, the priest said, "Power is the demonstration of the active principle of God, my Father. It is always the constructive activity. There is never too much or too little of God's perfect activity and manifestation, and God never fails, is never inactive. God principle is always working constructively. I command that I do stand forth, and that I am in perfect harmony with the active God principle, and that alone." Here Emil's mother took up the thought. "You can go on still further and say just as definitely, 'I pour this divine flame through you, my physical body, and you are transmuted into that pure substance which only God principle sees.' Now it becomes necessary for you to accept and expand your consciousness to the God consciousness, and you yourself revel in God. You do actually become God, one with the Most High. Man belongs to this high estate. Here man is one with the essence of all things. He is truly God. Here no division can exist. Do you not see that man himself can become God or demon? Can you not see that man's true vibratory sphere is the whole vibratory sphere of God, if he lives in that sphere? This is the only scientific sphere, the only place for man, and the only place where he can bring forth God and be one with God. Such a man is certainly more than the human concept of man. Do you not see then that you belong to and are of God's kingdom, and not that of any demon which is created by man's own imagining faculty? Then is it not a perfectly scientific and logical fact that man is and can be God, or that he may image himself out of the kingdom and therefore create for himself a demoniacal realm, which may seem real to him? I leave you to be the judge. This is the only issue upon which humanity stands or falls. There is but one choice, one purpose, one truth, and one science. And this makes you free. You become God or servants as you choose. Stop for a moment and just think of the allness of God, our primal cause, with no beginning or end, with universal scope, and surround ourselves in this. As you become faithful and worship this and this alone, one God, one almighty presence, you will find that the vibrations of your body will change from the human to the God or primal vibration. As you think, live, move, and become one with this vibration, you do worship, and what you worship, you idealize, you become. It is thus with and for all humanity. There is but one God, one Christ, one union, one man, one general household, all brothers and sisters, all one. God cannot be brought forth as a person or a personal image, but as an The moment you personalize, you idolize. Then you have the empty idol. You have lost the ideal. The ideal is not a dead Savior or a dead God. To make God alive and vital to you, you must think and know that you are God. This is the divine science of your being. Then you, the Christ, your Redeemer, becomes alive and one with you. You are that very thing. This becomes the motivating force of your whole life. You are redeeming yourself, the true you. You are one with God, truly God. By reverencing, loving, and worshiping this, it becomes ideal to you. God right within and active. Here the talk drifted to the possibility of going to Shambhala. The priest asked whether it would be possible for him to go. He was told that if he could lay aside the body and reassemble it again, he could go without difficulty, and that the party would go that evening. It was arranged that they should meet at our lodge early in the evening, and that our chief should go with them. The party assembled shortly after our return. After a short talk, they left by the door, and we did not see them again for a number of days. During this time, we were occupied in making measured drawings in the monastery. One day we were rummaging in one of the basements of the old lamasery. After moving considerable debris, we came upon an old marble tablet. This we had carried out of doors and cleaned. When the cleansing was finished, the beauty of the carving and the exactness of the execution of detail surprised everyone. It even surprised the lamas themselves. An old lama told us that when he was a very young boy, he became a chela of one of the great lamas who was in charge of the very old lamasery at the time this tablet reposed in a niche in the wall, and that his master insisted that they visit this tablet the first Monday in each month at the hour of 9 in the morning. He told us that as soon as they arrived at the niche where the tablet was placed and stood quiet for 3 or 4 minutes, a voice would sing the history of this tablet and the great things that the carvings portrayed. The song claimed that the tablet was one of the 2 that were carved to commemorate a great white civilization, what had existed and flourished on a large portion of what is known as the American continent, hundreds of thousands of years ago. The duplicate or sister tablet, the song claimed, was in existence and could be found in the motherland of its creation, thus proving that such a land did exist. We took the data as interpreted by the song. After a lapse of several years, we were working in the district described and found the twin or mate tablet embedded in a great wall at the location claimed in the song. The walls proved to have been the walls of an old temple in Central America, now in ruins. Thus it is seen how, through legend and song, direct truths are brought to light. This is the lamas speaking of how they got this one. The interest we showed in the tablet and the legend repeated in the song gave us access to other records and data that were of invaluable assistance in our research work later. The incident was also the contributing factor that opened the doors to records that are in the palace of the Dalai Lama, the living Buddha, as well as those in the monastery, which have been guarded for hundreds of centuries. Many of these records and their importance were wholly unknown to those that guarded them. It was through legend in song that we were attracted to them, although with the exception of these tablets, they proved to be copies. These copies were carefully done, and they pointed the way to the originals later on. We were so completely engrossed in this work that we were unaware our friends and chief had extended their stay. This we thought very little of, as unforeseen conditions can arise in this remote country to cause delays beyond our control. During this time, the inhabitants had, in a measure, become accustomed to us, and we had adjusted ourselves to their ways and means. Curiosity had given way to friendliness on both sides, and we were going about freely. The morning of the 12th day, as we were preparing to go to the monastery, we heard a commotion outside, and stepping out to investigate, we found that our friends had returned. Their trip had been successful, and such a place as Shambhala did exist. We were told that much of the beauty and grandeur of its art and culture were still preserved in its original beauty, and that its magnificence was beyond comparison.